Frank Slootman, CEO of Snowflake. Your reputation precedes you, sir. We're thrilled to have you join us at Data Unlocked, where we're talking about data engineering, data productivity, and of course, AI. Data in the cloud, I think, already changed the way that we do business, and AI poised to change every aspect of how we work, live, and play. And figuring out how, as data professionals, customers and data engineers, we react to that, I think on all of our minds here at the conference today. Frank, you are incredibly well positioned to comment on this. Tell us what you're seeing at Snowflake as regards AI and AI with Snowflake.
Yeah, well, thanks for having us, Matthew. It's a pleasure to have the conversation. The whole conversation around AI is very welcoming to us because our whole culture and our mission has always been to abstract the complexity of technology, to make it more approachable, to really serve all the different personas, from the least technical to the most technical. And what does AI do? It holds the promise of fully bridging the gap that has existed between man and machine since the dawn of computing. So that is kind of a big deal. You could say we've been waiting our whole lives for this opportunity, because the progress has been sort of agonizingly slow over the years, and unfortunately I can personally attest to that. So this is exciting, but at the same time, the technology stack is evolving at every level, and now we have another layer of technology that is fairly new to the world, and that we now have to understand and master in all its different facets and nuances. And that's really where we are right now. And our unique take on that is, look, we got to do this in a way that it's safe, that it's effective, that it's economical, and that it's very, very broadly accessible to various audiences. So it's nice to be partnered up with you, because we both play very important roles. I mean, one of the key statements we make over and over, which is, if you want to have an AI strategy, you better have a data strategy. And having a data strategy is still a relatively novel concept, for a lot of enterprises. We've kind of taken that for granted over the years, and there's a lot to it. So we don't do that well if we're not highly curated, highly optimized, highly organized, sanctioned, trusted with the data. Whatever you build on that is going to be hamstrung. It's almost self-evident, but sort of absorbing the consequences of that statement is another matter.
Yeah, Frank, I couldn't agree more. And you and I, our two companies have been working together for years across many hundreds, thousands of customers in helping them have that data strategy. But you're right. In the Matillion, we help data teams make data business ready historically for analytics and those sorts of business use cases. But now it's about making data AI ready as well. I wanted to pick up on that phrase you used a moment ago, excitement. I see that as well. Excitement, maybe also fear. Excitement of the world of possibility that we have. Fear of the hurdles that we'll have to cross, and also perhaps the cost of missing out. To me, at least, the jeopardy seems higher here of not mastering generative AI technology in our organizations and being left behind. How's Snowflake supporting our joint customers and future customers on building those AI use cases?
Well, it starts with building proper data foundations. So we're not going to sort of fast track through that and say, oh, well, we'll get to it later. So that work has to continue. So there is a real foundation, for building these new levels of function on it. Then the second thing is, yes, we're going to have new moving parts, new infrastructure components that are quite formidable, not just in terms of their complexity, but in terms of their resource consumption, economic consequences that it has. And then, are the governance frameworks still working? Am I not going to inadvertently have infiltration or exfiltration of our system? So we pretty much have to go over the targets again and again to understand, how do these deployment architectures work? But then finally, what we want is not an erector set. We don't want to expose this complexity, to our customers. It's the opposite, right? We are the descendants of Apple and Tesla. We're not the descendants, of Hadoop and Spark. We're trying to abstract, not expose complexity. So we want to allow this function to be called like SQL functions, like Python functions, and really allow every persona or user type, to be very, very productive very, very quickly with it, right? So we can address very technical people, but hell, we can also address people that are barely literate, so to speak. If you can talk, you can already have a meaningful relationship with systems and software and data,
And how do you peg the kind of excitement and or fear level in your customers? I had an interesting experience earlier this week. One of our biggest customers worldwide read a blog article on Matillion.com about some of the work we're doing around generative AI in our platform, the Data Productivity Cloud. And they phoned us up, they phoned our Chief Product Officer up and said, we need to get access to that functionality now, which is unusual to have that level of excitement and passion, or maybe the fear of missing out. Is that the same experience on your side as well? Are you seeing that energy from your customers?
Yeah, this is a little bit of contemporary culture, or like we've never seen this before, right? Fear of missing out is huge, especially in the financial community. Investors are completely, geeked up and geeked out, about it, which is, understandable. But we also know from having lived through, many generations of technology, there is such a thing, as a hype cycle. We get extremely enamored with stuff, and people view this as, God's gift to the world and all this kind of stuff. But then over time, reality begins to set in, and all the ugly, dirty work, has to start happening, and the learning and the understanding and the exploration and the experimenting, before we really can settle on, okay, this is a realistic goal to have in terms of what we can expect from it, and then how do we do this in such a way that it makes sense in the overall picture of architecture and infrastructure and economics and relationships with all kinds of parties. So that is inevitable. It's going to take time. Google was not the first search engine. I think it might have been the 20th, right? So I think the fear of missing out is a bit of a contemporary cultural phenomenon, as opposed to one that is sort of proven by history, because technology adoption takes time.
Frank, it's a brilliant segue. The gritty hard work. How I feel about it, I don't know if you agree, is that we have to learn to master it, because if our competitors do and we don't as companies, we will be outperformed by them. But to your point, it's gritty and real work. If we think back to data analytics, the constraining factor used to be the infrastructure, and then Snowflake and the data cloud data technology took that limitation away. Why Matillion exists is to focus on the limitation around data engineering. We have thousands of data engineers at or tuned into the conference today. Data engineering is normally 70% of the work of delivering a use case, right? If we can't make data teams wildly more productive, then we can't lay down use cases more quickly. But we need to do that in the AI world. What do you and our two companies need to do together to best support data teams and data engineers to be as productive and successful as possible around generative AI?
The big change really since cloud computing, became really mainstream, and things like Snowflake and Matillion, provided just layers of function, on top of that. The reality is that technology is not what's holding back customers in terms of what they want to do. What's holding them back is their ability to harness it. I get on calls with CEOs, and they're like, how do I get more value? As if I have to sort of produce an easy button that then, does something magical to their business, right? And when you're running technology, you better understand your business to the point like, what value can I extract from this technology? And it's the same with AI. People are basically quizzing us on, hey, what are the use cases? What are the applications of this technology? This is not about planning your next trip to Yellowstone. That might be for people that are in the business of travel that need those use cases. But the rest of us who aren't, it's like, look, summarizing a book, summarization is actually important in call centers and things like that. I actually do think that AI is an incredibly good technology for contact centers to both improve the experience, which has been horrendous. We all know that from our personal lives. as well as the economics of it, which has been just extraordinary, right? So there are places, where you can naturally gravitate with the technology and say, look, this is a really good place to start, right? But then, just like with machine learning, which is a far more, mainstream implementation, of AI, if you forget the large language models for a second, we're still, learning to really master that and really, get the insights that we need. And I think there's still enormous low-hanging fruit in the world of machine learning, as well, that we're just getting to. It's not like that is a check the box, we got it. No way. I mean, that is still, something that's going to run for a long, long time,
And to that point, Frank, I mean, it's not like we've done all the analytics we need to do in the world yet, right, either. Frank, we couldn't end on a point we both agree on more there, I think. We call that concept that you were talking about there, that ability to harness the technology, we call that data productivity, and that's what we're here talking about at Data Unlocked. Frank, we continue to value and deeply enjoy our partnership, serving together tens of thousands of data professionals around the world in their quest to deliver analytics, data science, and now generative AI use cases. We're super excited around the work that you guys have been doing around Cortex, around container services, and the innovation that we're jointly doing there, of course, as well. Thank you for the partnership, and thank you for being here at Data Unlocked.
Likewise, Matthew, we've enjoyed it. It's been super productive, and can't wait for things to come.
Cheers.